Welcome, Aisha. I'm so pleased to have you.
Hi, it's so nice to be here.
So, I want to start off with, can you talk to me about what was happening in your life at the point that you decided to enroll in the courses and what made you decide that you want to be a website designer?
Yeah. So when I first took Square Secrets and Square Secrets business, I was actually working full time in like a business development slash marketing role. I'd switched jobs a few times before. I went to school for hotel management. So I used to be a pastry chef and then had switched into like marketing and business development. And I was happy at my job. It wasn't something I dreaded going to every day, but I was just at a point in my life where I was just like, can I do this for the next 20 years? I'm pretty sure this is not what I want to be doing. Coincidentally, me and my husband had also taken about 6 months to travel just prior to that. And so we were back from seeing so many people working remotely and making tons of money doing it. And really, I think that kind of gave us a taste of the flexibility that we wanted in our own life. I was also running an Etsy shop on the side, selling handmade stuff. And so when we came back from travel, I knew that something had kind of shifted. I wanted something that was going to help me make more money, that felt creative, and that I didn't have to go in and out of an office too. So I kind of viewed that really clearly. And then I wanted to stop being Etsy piece. And so I started building my own website on Squarespace, got stuck with something, found Page's blog, went down a little rabbit hole, really enjoyed designing my own website. And it was like a light bulb went off and just like, this ticks all the boxes. I genuinely enjoy it. Also, it meant that I got to work with a lot of like creative entrepreneurs, support them, cheer them on. And so, yeah, that's kind of how I got into website design. I feel like it wasn't intentional at the start, but finding the course, going through Squarespace so easily. And then I think that was when you launched Square Secrets business as well. It was scary to make the decision, but like a part of me felt like it was a no-brainer as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Okay. And then can you talk about, you went through the courses. How long did it take you to go through them? And how long did it take you until you started actually like getting client projects?
I think I bought them as a bundle. I can't remember, but like
Mhm.
it took me about a month or a month and a half. And that wasn't like I was still working full time.
Mm.
So I do it in the evenings and things like that. But it was easy to implement. And so I think I had my first client within like 2.5 months. My first like fully paying client within the first 2.5 months. I did For me personally, I did 3 websites for free because I wanted to kind of test out the client process and feel confident. I did my first 3 websites for free just to have something in my portfolio as well as to feel confident in my own skills.
Mhm.
And then I got my first paying client within that.
Amazing. Yeah. So like month and a half to go through all the courses. Then you
Yeah.
spend another month like doing these projects, these
Yeah.
other projects to build up the portfolio. And then like after that, getting a first paid client. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And then talk to me about, you were in a 9 to 5 job. You eventually decided to go full time as a website designer. Talk to me also about like that timeline and like what the decision making process was like for you.
I was like, I think after I did my first paid website, it's funny. I felt like I was ripping people off because I was like, how am I like, the amount of money that I was able to make from website design was the same I would make at my job every 2 weeks. And I was like, I can do this in a shorter time frame. It's more creatively fulfilling. It felt too good to be true, to be honest. And so I continued my 9 to 5 job for about a year after I started website design, a little more than a year. I could have quit within 6 months. I was making the same amount, if not more, that I was making from my full-time job within 6 months. And I could have quit, but I was like, I wanted a little bit of a buffer. So as like not to put too much pressure on myself. So I wanted a little bit of a buffer. And I think there was a little bit of like fear with like leaving the
Yeah,
stability of things. But yeah, it was within a year that I was able to quit.
that's awesome. And then can you talk about once you went out on your own, people are always like, oh my God, that feels really terrifying. Can you talk to me about like, what has it been like being like a full time website designer? Both like in terms of like how you enjoy working for yourself, but also in terms of if you could go back and look at your old self who was kind of freaked out about going full time on her own, could you maybe give her some advice or pep talk?
Yeah, it was definitely scary. Like I was at the time in a mastermind and I kept being like, I would like to quit and go full time. And I would keep saying that over and over. And they were like, you just need to pick a date. So like I was just procrastinating picking a date. And then once I was like, okay, I want to do it at the end of April. for me at the time, because I was doing a full-time job, I was designing before work, going to work, and then designing after. And I was starting to burn out a little bit quickly. And so I was just like, what do I want it to be? I was like, it would be really cool for every weekend to be a long weekend. So I will take Fridays off. So when I quit, I only worked Monday to Thursday. I took Fridays off. And for the first few Fridays, I made sure to like book something. So I was not feeling, oh my God, oh, like book a massage or book a class, or like, so I would get out of my space. Yeah, it was, I also incorporated at the same time. It definitely felt when I immediately quit that first month, I definitely had like a real fear of like, is this all going to crumble? Can I do this? But by then again, I'd kind of proved to myself that I could make at least the same amount of money that I was making at my full-time job. So at least I'd be covered for all of that stuff. The good stuff was I feel like the first year was it almost felt like a vacation, because it would be like I could take the dog, like things like taking the dog for a walk at like 11 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday was just like, how is this even possible? You know what I mean? Or like laying out in the backyard and being like, I can start work in an hour, and it's like 10, like having to just be able to make my own schedule to really like lean into that part that felt like today I don't feel like working, and that's completely fine. I'm just going to take the day off. I will catch up tomorrow. It's an unbelievable feeling to feel that. And it just wouldn't have been possible without this business.
Yeah, good. That's so fantastic. I'm so happy for you. I also love taking a midday walk. It's beautiful. Little things in life.
It's myself over and over again,
Yeah.
right? Like crazy.
That's so good. Okay, so you're mentioning you started making as much as you were making in your full-time job as a website designer before you actually even quit your job. So
Much before, yeah.
doubled your income, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So can you talk to me about what you were making, or also like what's happening in terms of like client projects? How much are they investing with you now? And how many clients
Yeah.
do you be booking like in a month period, let's say?
I started off charging less than $1,000 for websites. And I followed the process that you like the exact process that you were teaching in Square Secrets business. And so that's kind of where I started off. And then I started a ladder for every client project. So I would just charge a little bit more for the next project, a little bit more for the next project. At the moment, clients typically invest somewhere between $6,000 and $8,500 for a full website build. And then obviously, like it's slightly different if we're doing an intensive or we're doing a one-page website, but those are still, they're really profitable projects because again, there's really not much overhead, right? So it is definitely really profitable. But for me, laddering really helped. It helped like sort of beat the imposter syndrome. It also helped me feel like I was on sturdier ground as I grew. And now I'm at a point where I still use pretty much the same system from Square Secrets business. But over time, I've like tweaked it based on my own style of working,
Mhm.
essentially, right? Like
Love that. So good. Are you doing 2-week websites still? So like 2 clients in a month? Is that how it's working, or do you have a different?
No, so I do branding now as well. So a lot of the times clients will come in for both branding and website, or if they come in for websites, obviously I need them to have all of their content ready. But I still like I'm not doing like 8-week websites. It's
Mhm.
always somewhere between like the 4 to 5 weeks at the max. That's because I realized that like it just allows me a little more space as well as clients a little more space and time. And it's just the kind of clients I work with have other things on their plate as well. So I wanted to hold space for that as well.
Yeah. And then are you doing one at a time, or are you doing multiple clients at the same time? Or
I did one at a time.
yeah.
Yeah. I sometimes will layer branding clients with a web design client, but they mostly overlap towards the end. But I feel like again, the method you teach is so it doesn't burn you out. And I didn't realize that that was what I was learning at the get-go until I started being in like groups, like Facebook groups or other groups of designers, and being like, everyone was so burnt out. And I was like, why is this happening? And didn't realize that the method you teach is so profitable, but also it's not heavy on the designer as well, right? Like it's sustainable over a long period of time.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I'm so happy to hear it. Also, can you tell me about the timeline from going from like $1,000 projects to your like 6 to $8,000 projects?
Yeah.
How many years did it take you to go from the start to
Yeah.
the
I would say it took me about a year, between a year and a half to 2 years. And I will say that a lot of it is also a lot of money mindset blocks that I had
Mm.
by myself. Now looking back at it, I could have scaled up much quicker, but I had a lot of money mindset stuff to work through. Like I mentioned at the start of this video, initially I would literally feel like I'm ripping people off because it was so creatively fulfilling for me. And I just like my brain just couldn't comprehend that I was making so much money so easily, quote unquote, right? Like, and so I would keep like coming up against a wall and being like, I know I should charge more, but I'm too scared. I'm too scared. And it was just money mindset work that I had to do alongside building a business. And that was really what helped me scale in a way that didn't feel like it didn't feel like, oh my God, someone's gonna find out. So those two things in tandem really helped. I feel like my worth is worth it. I see, you know what I mean? But there was something inside just like too afraid to move up. And I'm glad that I worked through all of that because now when I move up one level, it feels solid.
Mhm.
It feels safer to do that versus being like one day I'm gonna build it to this point and it's all gonna come crumbling down. Like because I was able to work on the money mindset part of things as well, feel more comfortable and also feel more comfortable going at my own pace,
Yeah.
which helps with like comparing yourself to others, right?
It's funny that you said you could have gone faster because going from 1,000 to like $6,000 to $8,000 projects in a year and a half to 2 years is actually quite quick. So the fact that you said like it could have been faster, I feel like that is, I mean, yeah, your work,
Yeah.
I guess, could have also been faster, but it's interesting. Like it is for most people in normal jobs, like that is an insane timeline to like up level your income.
Yeah. Well, and also like the full-time job I was working in at the time, I remember this is so embarrassing, but like I remember they gave me like I was on an hourly pay and they gave me a 50-cent raise. It's like, oh, that's cool. I got a raise. It was a 50-cent raise, but it was cool. And like I would never think of it the same way in my business. I'd always be like, oh, it was only $300 over. But like it's perspective, right? Like you when you run your own business, the cards are all in your hand. You can control as much as you can control, but especially when you're working for someone else, that's hard. You can do the best you can. They can say they value you as much as they want to, but sometimes it doesn't show up with the way they pay you.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which I think I didn't realize until I only ran my own business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. And then also I want to ask about how are you finding clients? You're booking a ton of clients. How exactly are you finding them? What's your marketing strategy that you love to use?
So for me, I currently use Instagram a lot. Instagram has like I enjoy Instagram. I enjoy really the energy is there for me. A lot of my marketing strategy has been Instagram and not just posting my work, but also really like branding myself personally. So really just showing up as I would when we work together, not afraid, like not being afraid to be silly or fun. That's what's really worked for me. I found early on that like very intensive, like systematic strategies, quote unquote, felt draining for me. And it was, I would procrastinate. So I kind of decided early on that like I wanted to approach this from I just want to be me and then attract the people that want to work with me versus chase after. And so that really helped at the start. I currently use Instagram a lot. And then I think once I started getting clients that I really wanted to work with and that really valued and saw the value of websites, now I would say it's almost like 50% referrals and 50%, yeah, 50% Instagram or like I've heard of you or I've seen you here. Like
Mhm.
it's yeah. Cold calling or cold DMing is like not my
Not your
thing.
thing.
I break out in sweats even at like the thought of it. So
Yeah, not for you. Perfect. Good. Okay. And so then for someone who's watching this now, they're thinking like, man, how do I do that? Like, what is the key to your success? What do you think it is that enabled you to build this amazing business,
yeah,
start scaling your prices so fast, book yourself out like in advance and everything with clients? What exactly do you
yeah.
think are the factors to that?
I think it was having a foundation in both of the courses that meant I could spend a lot of my time figuring out how I fit into this versus trying to figure out client processes. I hear a lot from clients that like, oh, that was like so much less intimidating than I thought it would be. And it's because like both the courses kind of taught me a really good foundation for client processes to help it be supportive to them so that they feel excited about it as well. And like I said, it wasn't draining on me. And so I think that was a big part of helping me grow quickly. I did realize when I took the courses how much of a like leg up I was getting. I just thought that's because again, I don't have a background in design. I just thought that that was something anyone that went to design school knew, but that was like apparently not. And so having that foundation of like the business side of things while tying it into the design side of things was really, really helpful. And then it helped me move quicker because I wasn't spending so much time figuring out simple things like, okay, how do I ask for content? Or, once they sign up, what happens? What happens during the process? What happens after? Like, I'd have spent years learning that. Whereas now I feel like I have something so solid and then I can just tweak the small parts of it to fit my own business better. I think that was definitely, it gave me so much more brain space to focus on actually enjoying it versus it feeling really intimidating. It has definitely been a big part of growth. And I also really liked what I really liked about the courses was it wasn't like this is the one way everybody does it. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's room to tweak it, there's room to add your own parts of it. You're not going to spend like 3 or 4 years trying to figure it out. Again, like just feel frustrated essentially, right? So I really think that was a big part of me being able to grow, just having that solid foundation. It also helped me feel like yes, I didn't go to school for this, but I really know what I need to know in order to run this business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's so good.
Thank you.
I'm gonna ask my last question anyways. You kind of ish answered it, but like, what would you say to someone who's on the fence for joining the course? What would be your recommendation to them?
Just get it. I mean, I know, and I'll say this from my point of view as well. I had never invested in anything. Like I'd never invested in a course like this. Making the investment for me was like a big part of the decision making process. And it was a scary part of the decision making process because at the time I didn't know whether I would make it back or not. And I was also comparing the investment I was making to what I was making at my full-time job. So do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I shouldn't have worried. Like it has paid itself back like so many times over. And also all it took was like one client or two clients to like cover it. I wouldn't have the rest of the life that I have now without that starting point, right? So, I mean, I know it can be scary because you're banking on yourself a little bit. And I also had, again, I don't know if this is helpful, but I had a lot of thoughts of like, yeah, she can teach me or she needs to teach me, but what if I am the problem? You know what I mean? What if what if I am the one that, do you know what I mean? Like, what if I can't implement it? Yeah, maybe everyone else can, but what if I'm just not good at this? What if I
Yeah.
don't follow through? What if you will?
Yeah.
Like, you may not do it at the pace you think you will, and you have to give yourself grace in that area of it, but you will. I really like that it is not like, it's not complicated. It doesn't make you feel stupid.
Mhm.
It's a course that handholds you through it.
Mhm.
Uh, which I really appreciated. It feels like someone, like a friend is guiding you through it, which was really
Yeah.
good.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
That makes me so happy. Can you talk about that? So if someone's sitting there right now and they're thinking like, oh, well, maybe I can't do this. You've gone through the content, you've implemented the things. Is this something
Yeah.
anyone can do? Or is it like you need to have a certain
Yeah.
level of something beforehand or
So I've spoken to so many designers, and where usually everyone's like, "Oh, I don't wear this course too." And so I know that like it works for different personalities, it works for different work styles, it works for people that have different priorities. Whether you're doing this to make the money, whether you're doing it to build something for yourself that is creatively fulfilling while making really good money doing it, it fits into all of that. And the way the course is laid out, the fact that you can come back to it, the fact that there is support just means that like you'll be able to do it. And having a course that like guides you through it step by step makes that part so much easier. And I still sometimes will go back and be like, oh, I wonder if like I'm struggling with this part of my client process. I wonder if I can just like go back to see what we did and then like tweak it a little bit differently. You'll come back to it. So that's good. And I know you add a lot of like
yeah.
bonuses
Mhm.
from time to time. So that's great too.
Yes, amazing. Thank you, Aisha. This is so fantastic. If you want to join Aisha and all the other amazing students, then definitely I'll put a link right below this. So hop on in. We can't wait to have you.